Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hade and in this video I'm gonna share with you 100 things that I love about Finland. When I started making this video, I really had to think like, can I come up with 100 things? But I obviously was able to, and I just had to start really thinking about it at maybe like number 80. But I did it, so now let's just start sharing. As always, if you just want to skip, I made these like 100 things kind of like in sort of like themes. So if you just want to skip to a specific theme of things that I love from Finland, then just feel free to do that by looking in the description below. So the first thing that I love about Finland is its safety. And I know that this might just not come as a surprise to anyone, but coming from like Mexico, I really do appreciate safety, and Finland, it's just such a safe country in terms of like you can walk at whatever time of the night, of the day, and you don't have to be worried that something's gonna happen. You don't have to be worried about, someone stealing your things. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen, especially with bikes. I don't know why, like I think if there's anything that in Finland it's stolen, in my personal experience, those are bikes. Why? I stopped having a bike because I got like two and they both got stolen. But I mean, if I really think of level of security, like safety, feeling safe in an environment, I think Finland just like rocks it all, and I really love that about Finland. Then the second thing that I love about Finland is its silence. And to be honest, when I first came to Finland, I really didn't like silence. I felt so awkward and so weird when people just would not talk. It would make me feel so uncomfortable. But with the time and with the years, I have also been able to learn how to appreciate silence and how to, speak more when you have something like relevant to say. Of course, you can also like chit chat, but also, like feeling calm and feeling in peace, not necessarily sharing something, just like being with another person and being in peace and being just fine, even if you're not saying something. That's something that it was not normal for me like before. So with the time, I have just also learned how to love silence. And now, even though I love talking, I can also really, really, very, very well appreciate silence. Then a third thing that it really has come with the years is just this love for personal space and the distance. And I mean, when I really think it from the energetical point of view, and we think that our aura, it's like, this kind of around us, it really makes sense. I'm sure that Finnish people don't do it because of that. Actually, I am sure they don't do it because of that. But it has also brought me like a lot of, it doesn't mean that I don't love people. It's just, it has really brought me a lot of like peace. And I really like it. I really like having my own space. And I think like before of course I had my own space, but in Finland, like the way in which you get your own space, it's like very, very clear. Like starting from if you work in an office, from like this is your place and that is the place, like there's not like all these super, like yes, there's open spaces, but each one has its own big desk that allows them to have like a relevant own space. And that's the same when you are like traveling by bus or just like making a line to pay your stuff in the supermarket or anything in that sort. This kind of like personal space, that's something that I've really learned how to appreciate, and I really like it because there's not this like pushing and this like, oh, me first. So also because there's not a lot of people in Finland. There's only like a little bit over 5 million. I'm not sure in which, like how large is the population at that point, but it's around like 5 point something millions in the whole country. So yeah, I really, and now that I'm more into energetics, I've really learned how to, how beneficial it is to have like your own personal space clean. Does that mean that I don't love being near with other people? By no means. I really love, having these like togetherness and these like being near others, but because I'm in Finland and that doesn't happen that often unless I'm with friends or with my boyfriend, then then I'm totally fine with it, and it's something that I've just learned how to love. The number 4 thing that I love about Finland, it's just this like the small talk about weather. In Finland, the weather is just such an important part of the country and of the culture, and something that I've just come to learn, I'm not sure if I fully understand it, is that Finnish people, like you can't go wrong. Like Finnish people might like, not talk at all, and maybe not, definitely not talk with the strangers. But when it comes to weather, like if it's a fantastic weather and you're just walking outside and then there's like another person and then you're just like, oh wow, it's such a good weather. Then the other person is like, I have done it like a couple times, and then the other person will definitely answer you like, oh yes, there's such a nice weather. So like, I know this sounds like so super cliche, and it definitely is, but talking about weather in Finland, you can't go wrong. Like like you can't go wrong. It doesn't matter who's the person. If you make a comment about the weather, you will always get an answer, and you will be able to break the ice or start your talk with the weather. It's my life savior. Another thing that I really like from Finland, it's just the level of English that basically like everyone has. And I mean, at this point, it really doesn't matter because I communicate in Finnish and I do it pretty well. So at this point, I do it really well in an understandable level, that's all. But this was especially important for me when I had just moved to Finland because my Finnish skills were like near to zero. And Finnish language, it's on its own like really, really hard. A very difficult language. So for me, the fact that I was able to just come here and be sure that people know English, people know how to speak it, I can get services in English, people are gonna understand me, it was a game changer. Yes, maybe some people are not that comfortable just like speaking in English, because if that's not something that they do in their everyday life, they don't feel like super confident. But it's really a game changer. Like, for example, it depends really where in Mexico do you go. But for example, when I think from an exchange student perspective, like in Mexico, you just need to learn Spanish. Because even though there's a lot of Mexicans that do speak English, it's not gonna work. And in Finland, like, yeah, of course, you're gonna have an easier life if you speak Finnish. But if you literally are here for a short amount of time, like you can definitely get like a very nice experience and just get through with English, which is something that I really love. The other thing that I really like about Finland, it's its clean air. And you know, when people tell you like clean air, you might be like, what? Clean air? Like how can you even notice that? And I thought I wouldn't notice it. And the thing is that at the beginning I didn't notice it, like not at all. But when I really started noticing it was as I started living more and more years in Finland, and then I started visiting less regularly Mexico. When I would go to Mexico and I would, sense the difference between the air in Finland and the air, for example, in Mexico City, it was just like the difference was so evident. I even wanted to kill myself because air. Like, when people talk to me about air, I was like, come on, air is air. And I never thought I would be able to really feel the difference. But after many years living in Finland, when I go back to Mexico, especially when my visiting times, in terms of how often do I go visit, started to be long periods between each other, I really can feel that the difference between a really clean, pure air in Finland compared to the not so clean air in Mexico. Another thing that I really like from Finland that I was very suspicious in the beginning was drinkable water. Because my boyfriend and whenever I travel abroad, people would go for example to, let's say, in the airport and with their bottles, with their empty bottles, and they would just fill it with the water from the bathroom. That was so awkward. I think it's just, I don't know, maybe it's just a Mexican cultural thing or cultural mindset or Mexican mindset, I don't know, but for me it's just very, very hard to process that someone would be drinking the water that comes from the sink in the bathroom. It's just it doesn't make sense. But in Finland, the water is clean, and basically you can drink the water that comes basically from anywhere, unless it's said, unless people say that you cannot drink that water, but that's really unusual. Sink water that comes from even the sink of the bathroom, you can drink it and it's safe, and that was really weird, and that's something that I really, really love from Finland. You don't have to buy, clean water, and you don't have to have these kind of things that we have in Mexico that purify it. It's just the system is built so that the water just comes clean. Then I also love that there is the water, like the water in Finland in your house, in your houses, it's like you can always get warm water. And if you're from Finland, you might just be thinking like, what, Hade? Like, what do you mean getting warm water? And that's exactly what I mean. Because for example, in Mexico, we have these kind of like machines that before you go to take a bath or take a shower, you have to kind of like, you know, turn it on. And then it kind of like warms up the water from like the specific place where in your house you have water. And then you get the warm water. And in Finland, literally, no matter the hour, no matter the day, no matter the season, you will just go, like, you know, start showering and the water is just gonna come hot whenever you ask for hot water. And I think that was like pretty sweet. And it's not like it can just come at a certain like hot temperature. You can make it like, you know, warm, like hot, or like very hot, and it's still gonna come. And I think that's something like pretty sweet and I really, really love about Finland. Another thing that I love about Finland is the warm houses. And I mean, here I have to be a little bit more gentle because obviously, given the very, very cold winters that Finland has, it's obvious that the houses need to be warm. However, what has been like really cool to me, it's like if I think, for example, Mexico, if it's winter, and it's cold outside and our cold might be just like 0 degrees, then that means that you're living those exact same 0 degrees or like 1 or 2 degrees inside, where I would like, I can't stop, like I cannot not remember all the times that I would wake up in winter time, like in Mexico, and I would like, before I even like touch the floor of the house, if we would have like floor, I would put like socks, then I would put shoes, and I would actually like go, because the floor would be cold. And yeah. And in Finland, you know, of course, the heating, it's like less during the summer because you don't need it. But it doesn't matter whether it's summer or whether it's winter. For example, at the moment, at the time when I'm filming this video, there's like minus 25 degrees outside. And it really doesn't matter. Like, look at myself. I'm here like, you know, I'm living plain winter, but I'm inside without shoes, sitting in my sofa, recording a YouTube video and wearing a shirt. So I really love about, like, I really love that in Finland, the houses are warm. And yeah, I can be wearing like shirts all the time. And funny enough, that also means that I really don't need to wear like many sweaters or jackets, because in Mexico it's needed. Whatever temperature it's like outside, you're gonna have it inside. And that doesn't only apply to your house, it applies to the place where you work. It applies basically like to everywhere. So unless you have a heating system, which it's not so common in Mexico, if it's cold outside, it's gonna be cold inside. Maybe not as cold, but you get the point. The other thing that I really like and that I thought it was like super funny, it's like the double windows. Of course, I know that the double windows are just intended to keep the house like, you know, more warm. But then I also love how the, you know, double windows can also be like a great tool for isolating sound. And also another thing that I really love and that I think is very funny is that there's this kind of like universal lock in Finland that you get to open, because like in Finland, not all the windows can be open. Like they can be open, but they don't have the handle. So there's this specific handle that you have to use if you wanna like open the windows. And then there's the smaller windows that are meant that you like, you know, easily like every day can like open those windows if you want, and then you just like, in the place where I live in Mexico, we have a lot of dogs that might just sometimes be barking during the nights. So I think it would be really cool to have these double windows to not listen to that much noise during the night. Anyhow, another thing that I really love from Finland, it's the no shoes inside kind of policy. And it's not something that I follow, and my boyfriend hates it. Like he hates when I am like, you know, I'm inside, I'm just wearing my shoes. And I mean, I don't do it very often, but you know, like for example, if I'm just getting ready, if I'm like already ready, and you know, ready to go out and I have my shoes, but then, you know, like I miss the bus or I forgot, you know, something in my house, I would just easily walk with the shoes inside, like, oh my God, where was my wallet? Or where is the bus card? Or I'm just gonna chill in the sofa with my shoes, like, you know, with my shoes on, because like I miss the bus. I missed the bus that was going at this time, so I just have to wait like 15-20 minutes for the next one. And my boyfriend, like, he gets nuts. Like when I do that, he gets nuts. He's like, you're wearing shoes inside. And I'm like, Yeah. And he loses his mind. But I really like, so I don't do it very often, but I'm not that strict that, you know, oh my god, like you can't do it. But in Finland, like usually, of course, if I would be at someone else's place, like then I obviously don't do it. In Finland, shoes are not worn inside, and that's basically the rule. You don't wear them inside. And that also makes it like, for at least in my opinion, it makes it like so nice that I don't have to like clean all the time, because basically you are not pouring all the stuff that you pick up from the outside, you are not bringing it inside, which I think it's like really cool. So I really definitely like more this idea, and especially now that we are living this pandemic. Now that I have been doing more of work at home, I have really noticed that, for example, this winter I got this new pair of winter boots, and I have definitely not even need to buy any other shoes. I've just used those shoes and that's all. So also the amount of shoes that I really need, it has decreased. And actually it makes me feel bad because I had like a lot of shoes. So I have like a box full of shoes that I don't use. Horrible. But yes, you don't really need many shoes, because unless you're gonna go outside, when you are inside, you don't need to wear shoes. Another thing that I really like from Finland, and this might be just very weird, so I hope that you're excited about this one. It might come as a surprise if you're a Finn, because you might not have noticed this, but it's how the bed sheets, the system for like bed sheet, it's really weird, because in Finland there's this kind of like white basic blankets. And basically the only thing that you change, it's the outside. So if you want to have like different styles or different styles or designs for like your bed sheet, the only thing that you are like changing, it's the outside of your bed sheet. But like the main thing, like the thing that actually keeps you warm, that's like a white standard color, and you just like kind of like change the outside of it. And that's so weird, because in Mexico, like we don't have those at all. So I was really weirded out. I was like, the first time I was in Finland, I was like, oh, what's this? And I think it's like it's so convenient, because in Mexico I have 2 or 3 main blankets, but it's just like the main blanket with its design. So basically it takes a lot more space. So I had to have, you know, the 3 different main blankets or like the warm blankets, and then I just have like to use them. And the thing is that in Finland also, because the houses are like warm, people normally just need like this one main blanket, and then like maybe if they want something that they call the päiväpeitto, which it's like the day blanket that they put over that they put over the blanket that it's in their bed, so that, you know, they like it, I guess it would protect during the day. But they call it like this day blanket that they put over their bed blanket during the day and then take it away at night. And compared to Mexico, in Mexico you have like 3 layers of like, you know, bed clothes. So it's really weird, but I really love it. It makes it so intelligent and so much easier to just keep changing styles over time and throughout the seasons. So I thought that was like pretty cool part. Then another thing that I love about Finland are their clean streets. Like, just people know how to be clean. People know, and there's a lot of trash cans. That's like another thing. It's not just like the streets are clean just because they are clean. Like, obviously there's people cleaning the streets also. There is also the people that will like leave their, you know, the end parts of their cigarettes like to the floor. Of course there is people like persons that are constantly cleaning those. But there's also a lot of trash cans like around the city, so it's also very easy to throw your trash in the trash can. And a lot of people, they just, you know, don't throw trash in the streets, which is very nice. So most of the streets are extremely clean, or with a very little trash, which eventually gets cleaned by people. And with that, I also want to highlight the trash management in Finland, and I really love how it is done, because basically every neighborhood has its own kind of like huge places like for trash. Basically you have like the containers for different types of trash. So like bio trash, then you have like your normal, that it's basically like all the combined like trash, kind of like regular trash. But then you have like for metals, for glass, And I think I might be missing like another. It's like metals, glass, and you had something extra, which at the moment I can't remember. And I really love it because, you know, you collect your trash inside, but you never have to, like as in Mexico, for example, that it's very typical that you just collect and collect and collect in like your own containers. And then when the trash is coming, you're like, oh my God, like wait, the trash car, it's not the trash car, but the trash bus or the trash truck, it's coming, like let's go and take our trash to the trash truck. Like here you just put it out, and the containers are that big that they collect like from the whole building or the whole, like, you know, yeah, the whole building or the neighborhood where you're like living. And then the trash truck comes when it comes, and it takes the rest of the trash, and then you can keep putting your trash there. So trash management in Finland, it's like something that I really love, and I was very, very surprised about it. Another thing that I really, really like, it's the nature everywhere. Like in Finland, you will see green, like unless you're, but I think even, I would go as far as saying that even if you live in Helsinki, you will 100% find a nature, like, you know, like maybe a forest or a lake, or in Helsinki, the sea. Like if not like at your next door, like really, really nearby. And the more you move away from bigger cities and into smaller cities, that becomes more of a reality. For example, I have a forest just like 5 minutes away from me, and that's like beautiful. And I have a lake like maybe like 7 minutes away from me, and that's also beautiful. Another thing that I really like about Finland are the seasons throughout the year, and I think that this is because the country on itself, it's in such a location that, you know, it's small and it's very in the north. So basically the seasons are really well perceived. For example, if I compared it to Mexico, that we're more in like the central area. So basically in Mexico we have like, you know, winter, yes, it might get colder, but it doesn't get like cold. And in summer, well, yeah, then it gets warm. But in Finland, like the seasons are beautiful. Like the winters are like real winters, like lots of snow and very like beautiful things. Very cold weather. And in the spring, it's just all about like melting. I think that's the season that I really like. I'm not sure do I really like spring in Finland, because everything's melting. I mean, the winter, it's like beautiful, but because there's a lot of snow, then in the spring, everything's melting. So, you know, it's like there's like water everywhere. Everything's like muddy. The trees are just starting to bloom. So there's this like the start of the spring that I'm not sure. I don't really love it, but I love that you can feel it's spring. The spring, it's coming. And with that, then there's like the late spring where everything is like just like blooming. And in Mexico, it's just so different because, for example, the spring, it's usually the warm and nice time because there's like no snow to, you know, wait for the snow to like melt. So usually the spring, it's, you know, everything's like bloomed, everything's green, everything's nice. And the summer in Mexico, it's like starts like my birthday, it's on the 3rd of July. So in Mexico, it's like a rule that July hits, there's gonna be rain. And in Finland, it's not. Like in the spring, everything's like melting, everything's starting to bloom. Summer, it's like everything has bloomed and there's like, you know, this heat of wave. Everyone's eating ice creams, everyone's in the beach, everyone's on holidays, everyone like, and there's so much light because, you know, Finland, it's in this north part of the globe. So, you know, the summer, it's just like there's a lot of light. Like you might have like 18 hours of light, 16 hours of light. So there's like light all the time and there people feel it. And then again in the autumns in Finland are like very beautiful. You can see the craziest colors of going to brown to golden, reddish. It's so beautiful. And you can again really see that, okay, autumn has come. And of course with the rain. And then again we get into winter, but the seasons throughout the year are very beautiful and it's really something that I really do love from Finland and that I love it. Actually, like my Instagram is just full of like, you know, winter, summer, autumn pictures, and I think probably the only one that's missing is the spring because as I said, it's like really, really ugly, or I personally don't like it. But I like that I can say that yes, there's spring. With it also comes the seasonal activities. And I just really love that, for example, in the summer, you're just gonna be like swimming in the lake. In the winter, you can also be swimming in the lake, but that's called like ice swimming, or in Finnish, avanto. Then during the autumn, it's the mushroom season. So you get to go to the forest and pick berries, pick mushrooms. And during the summer, you also get to, you know, go and grill. And with that, I really want to say something that I really love from Finnish summers. It's grilling. Like, people love to grill during the summers. And that's something, like, that was something that it was not like a must do for me. But for me, the way to open the summer, it's with a good grill. And during the summer, like, me and my friends, we grill a lot. And I love it, just to have like a lot of like different meats and like sausages and corn and you know, salmon. It's so good. So grilling activities during the summer are my favorites, and that's another thing that I really love about Finland. And with that, the opposite of it, it would be like the winter time. And I really love all the snow activities that that you can do in Finland, going, you know, starting from something like downhill skiing. That is something that I learned how to do, and I just have not done it. But I think my favorite part of just like all these of having like such a beautiful winter in Finland, it's that I can get to take pictures in such beautiful landscapes. Because honestly, Finland is like a dreamland during the winter. Like, sometimes I really like look outside and I struggle to process that this is actually like a reality, and that like I'm living here, and that it's looking that beautiful outside, because it really looks like a dream. So, and talking about activities, this is the one activity that I really love, but I think I love because I feel that it's just so awkward. I've done it once and that's all. Like, I love it, but I think I love it more because of its awkwardness, and that's like ice fishing. And you would be like, Kade, what? Yeah, it's like the weirdest type of activity like I've ever heard in my life, but that's like pretty cool. So basically, in plain winter, when everything is like frozen, you go to the lake, and then there's this kind of like tool that you use, and then you kind of like, you know, use it to make a hole, like a very deep hole. I did it once, and I had to like really go like deep and deep and deep and deep and deep until it kind of like had broken all of the ice that has been formed in the lake. And it was like easy, like over a meter. But the thing is that when you have made that hole, you basically like, you know, just put your fishing rod and then you just wait. But it's really funny because, you know, you're like in the middle, you're in the middle of the winter, you are in the middle of the lake, you've made a hole that it's maybe like, what, this big? And then you're there like with your fishing rod, like. So I think that's something like really funny, and it's definitely something that I really love about Finland, but because of its weirdness. And with that, I really want to talk about berries. And the thing is, like, in Finland, I'm not sure if this is common in different countries, but Finland has a huge variety of berries, and it's crazy. Like, you get like from cloudberries to blueberries, raspberry, strawberry, red currant, black currant, and all of these you can just collect them from, like, you know, your local forest. So like berry picking, it's something that's like also a thing in Finland, that like, you know, a lot of people, they just go and they collect berries and then they like freeze them up, put them in a fridge, no, not in a fridge, in a freezer, and then they just like use them throughout the year. And so basically you get berries, and if you go collect them yourself, then you get your berries for free. Moving on, another thing that I really love from Finland, but this is definitely a cliche, it's the sauna. Like, and I'm not gonna use a lot of time explaining this because, you know, if you go to sauna once, if you really are able to connect with the nature, with the experience of the sauna, regardless it's summer, regardless it's winter, because they are different experiences, going to sauna, it's one of my favorite activities ever. So basically, when I have my house in Finland, it must have a sauna. I'm living now in a student apartment, so obviously it does not have a sauna. It has a common sauna, but it's not the same. I mean, it's the same sauna, but it's not the same as having your own sauna at your own home place. So yeah, I love sauna, and I love that Finland has saunas, and I love that I can develop my love for saunas by living in Finland. But with that, I want to move to like more of a different type of topic, and that's something that I kind of like really love from Finland, because all this video is about things that I love, obviously. And that's that sleeping at your boyfriend's or girlfriend's place when you are like younger, it's like more of a normal type of thing. And like sex, it's really like, I feel that sex in Finland, it's not like a taboo, and that's so different from Mexico. Like in Mexico, if I was like younger, let's call it like 16, 17, 15, and I would be like, hey, hey mom, hey dad, I'd like my boyfriend to, you know, stay and sleep over, and is that okay? Like, oh, no, that's like a huge no. That does not happen in Mexico. I don't know if it has changed. When I was younger, that was like a huge no-no. That wouldn't happen, less with the permission of your parents. Like, no, that doesn't happen. Less when you're underage. Like, it's a huge no-no. And when I came to Finland, I really like start learning that actually, like, of course with the permission of the parents, but for example, like my current boyfriend, he slept at his ex's place, like when he was like pretty young. I think his parents allowed him to start doing that maybe when he was like something like 15, 16, something like that. And it was like, okay, and I was like, what? And then when I was myself an exchange student, I had a sister, and one of my sisters, she had a boyfriend, and this boyfriend, he was also like, you know, she was, at the time I was 15, which means, no, I was 16, which means that my sister was 17, and the boyfriend just stayed, you know, sleeping at my sister's, at my parents' place, Finnish parents' place, and it was just like natural. And you know, like sometimes I was like really like wondering, because of course now with my current boyfriend, like I also, like there was a time where I also stayed sleeping at his place, but he still lived at his parents. So I was just really awkward, like, I mean, can I just do that? And of course, you know, with the sleeping at like, you know, at my boyfriend's girlfriend's place, that also, like, not as a rule of thumb, but that usually also will mean like we're gonna have sex, and that's fine. And I was like, what? Like, what? In Mexico, that's not something that's gonna that could happen. And I think that that's something that I really love, because it makes it like less taboo. And I think that by making it like less taboo, it's something that you are like less likely to just seek out on your own, because, you know, it's not allowed. So I really like that in Finland this is like more possible, and that people don't feel like that weird or that taboo about sex, and just about, you know, sleeping with your boyfriend, girlfriend since like a younger age. And I'm not saying like kids, but just simply like a younger age. And with that also really comes like something that I really love and I learned to love. It's like how comfortable Finnish people are with like nakedness. And I can really see that, you know, not only in sauna, but also like with their celebrations. For example, at the university, there's always like this one challenge when there's like the student parties, especially when you're like a first year. And there's always this like one game that people organize in one of the first parties that usually involves getting your clothes off. Like, it's like a lot of the games is just like, if you want to have like, you know, another chance to throw the ball, you have to take one of your clothes off. And, you know, people don't say like, ooh, you know, and now I'm gonna take my like, I'm gonna take my shirt off and like, ooh. Like, no, it's just like, oh, I'm taking my shirt off. Like, and for guys, psh, they like even better. They are just like, you know, covering with like a hand, like, I'm taking my boxers off. So I love how the Finnish society is just so okay with nakedness, because for me it was like a thing. Like, I was not comfortable just like with nakedness when I was younger, and I just really love that in Finland the fact of being naked, it's just so normalized. And that's something that I really love. But another thing that I really love about Finland, it's countryside and it's summer cottages, because I think in Finland there's this kind of tradition of, it's very frequent that families will have their summer cottage, and that's where they go in the summer. So it's like, oh, we're gonna go to the summer cottage, or we're gonna go to the countryside, and then basically like they go to the grocery store, they pack food, and then they just like take it to the countryside or take it to the summer cottage, and then just spend the summer if not the whole summer, then like a big part of the summer in the summer cottage. And it's like, you know, it's like I feel in Mexico it's like having like a holiday house, but in Finland it's like a summer cottage, and I just love the idea of a summer cottage. Like a lot of them are just like wooden kind of summer cottages. It's not like a rule of thumb, but I really do love the kind of summer cottage type of concept. And with that really comes all the celebrations in Finland. And the first thing that I really like, it's Vappu. And Vappu, it's celebrated on the 1st of May. And that's basically like between the last day of April and the first day of May, like that day, like that like night, it's like all the city is drinking, like everyone. Like I'm not sure if it's legal to drink just in the streets in Finland, but on the 1st of May, like the last day of April, it's called like Vappu, so like before Vappu and the Vappu day, and all the city is drinking, like especially students, like university students and youngsters. You can find them like they gather around the lake and everyone's drinking, having music, having great time. And you know, people are wearing, like students are wearing their overalls, and it's just so beautiful. I love Vappu, and I love the energy. Like I think that during Vappu, like personal distance, it's like forgotten. It's like if Finnish people like personal distance, like during Vappu, it's like, what is personal distance, people? We don't know personal distance. We're all celebrating here. Like we're all, you know, like happy, celebrating, drinking. We don't care. So I think that's like very beautiful. Another thing that I really liked, and this might just come like a little bit of like a surprise, it's like the love that Finnish people have for local products. And it can go to like really even like very weird places. For example, I also work as a waitress in one of the restaurants in Kuopio. And the love that Finnish people have for local products, it's not just like, oh, you know, like there's this like Finnish brand of makeup that I really love, or there's this kind of like Finnish brand of jewelry or of clothing. It's not just about like brands of products. It can really go like as deep as going to a restaurant being like, and I have not been asked this one time. I have been asked this like many times. And it's when customers come and they're like, okay, so I was thinking about like, you know, having chicken or salmon, but like, is your salmon like Finnish? And the first time like I got that question asked, I was like, joke. Like, no, you're not joking. Like you really want to know if the salmon is Finnish? Well, I'm not sure. Let me go check. And I went to check, and actually it was like from Norway. So they were like, oh, it's not Finnish. I'm gonna go have chicken instead. Is the chicken Finnish? And I was like, yeah, our chicken and our beef and our pork are Finnish pork and chicken and beef. And first I thought that it was just like really weird, but then now I also think that it's just so beautiful how its people really ask for, you know, the consumption of local products. And usually it's not as you might think that, okay, you know, like local products are just cheaper. A lot of times the price difference, it's not really that big. But what I found, especially during the summer, is that actually the strawberries that are from Finland, they are more expensive than, for example, the strawberries coming from Spain. And people want to pay the extra price. People want to pay the more expensive price simply because they are local and they are from Finland. And that's something like really weird, but I really love the support that Finnish people have for their local products and local consumption, because I think like that's a lot, that's a thing that maybe does not happen in a lot of countries. So that's something that I really love, specifically from Finland. I also love Lapland and I'm not gonna explain a lot of Lapland because, you know, Lapland is Lapland. There's beautiful winters, beautiful summers. Lapland, it's Lapland, and I really love it from Finland. I love Santa Claus, that it's in Rovaniemi in Lapland, Santa's house, and I love to, you know, be living in a country where I know there's like Santa Claus is here, Santa Claus lives here. Also, like a thing that I really love, but in a very weird way, it's a Finnish Christmas tree. Because, you know, Mexican Christmas trees are like, and Finnish Christmas trees are like, so the first thing, the first time that I saw a Finnish Christmas tree, I was so weirded out. I was like, it's kind of like, you know, missing branches. Like it's like kind of like empty. So it was like really weird because like my conception of Christmas tree was different, and then when I saw like Finnish Christmas trees, I was like, what? But I really love them. Especially I love it because a lot of people, they just like go and buy it from, you know, the place where there's like people are selling Christmas trees. But a lot of people also go and, you know, before Christmas they go and they like have an axe and they go to the forest. I think you have to do it like with a specific permission. Maybe you have to go to your own forest, or you have to ask permission in a certain forest. But I have done it once, not twice, with some of my families, and we actually go and we like take like, oh, you know, like we're choosing our tree. Oh, it's this one. Okay. So I think like that's like something that I like have come to love about Finland. And the other thing that comes with that, you know, opposing Christmas, it's really the summer and the Midsummer celebration, which it's called in Finland Juhannus. And that's basically like 24 hours of sun where people are like, everyone's free and everyone's just like drinking, grilling, playing games, spending the time with family, like, you know, looking at the bonfires that are like in different part of the countries, and I really love it. And with that, a very different celebration, or the way in which Finnish people celebrate Easter, it's like also very different because like kids, they kind of like dress like witches. And then they make these kind of like funny sticks and they put like feathers of different colors. I'm just gonna add a picture here. And then they just go from house to house just singing this funny song, and then, you know, like singing in front of the house, giving the stick to the person of the house, and then receiving in return either like money or candies or something similar. So I think that's like very, very beautiful, and I really, really love it. It was one of the first things that I did still when I was like an exchange student. I was 16 years old. I did it with my brothers, and it was very, very much fun. And with the celebrations also really comes that in Finland, like it seems that each celebration has its own kind of like pastry or food. So for example, like in February, there's this Runenberg Day, and they have like a Runenberg pastry. And then in Eastern, they have like a different pastry. It kind of like looks like a brain. I'm just gonna insert it in here. And then for example, during the Christmas time, they have something that they call like Christmas, I guess it's something like Christmas pastry or Christmas pies or something like that. In Finnish, joulutortut. So they also have it, you know, it seems that each season has its own kind of like pastry or its own drink. For example, for Christmas, it's also glöggi. For the Easter time, it's sima. I think, was it Eastern or Vappu? But there's also like sima, there's mammi. So with kind of like different celebrations come these kind of like different foods that you eat. And I know that might be like maybe like more common also in different countries. For example, in Mexico during September, which is the month that we celebrate our independence, we eat a lot of pozole. And I know that pozole, or at least from my experience, it's something that you eat in September. Sure, you can do it like, you know, throughout the year, but in September you eat pozole. So I know that this might be something that it just happens in every country, but I just love how in Finland it is like that, and how I feel that it happens like, you know, more often, like, you know, its own pastry for the Runenberg Day, its own pastry for the winter holidays, that it's something they call it like laskiaispula, and it's also like this kind of pastry that it's eaten during like the winter, like spring break, winter break holidays, that it's basically when people go and they spend the holidays skiing or doing something like that. And so I really love that. And with that also, like another thing that I really love from Finland, it's that during the Independence Day in Finland, which is on the 5th of December, like the president of Finland invites people to his house, like the house, or I don't know if I would even call it like palace. Maybe it's a palace, I don't know. In the Independence Day, there's this like big ball, like a big dance. held by the like Finnish president, and they like everyone, like not everyone, but like just certain people from Finland are invited, and this is like streamed on the TV. So like on Independence Day, it's very typical to just sit down in your sofa and just like watch all the beautiful dresses and all the beautiful people that have been invited to the, you know, to the dance at the president's house. And it's just like streamed, and I love it. Like it's just such like a beautiful thing, like, oh, you know, in the Independence Day there's gonna be like this dance at the president's house. So I really love that. But moving on from celebrations and entering into another topic, something that I really love about Finland is transportation, and I have talked a little bit about that in my first impressions about Finland video, which I'm just gonna link above in case you're interested in watching. But something that I really feel like, and that I really like, it's how train is used as means of transportation. And it's so weird, but for example, I think we are constructing, but we're constructing, I think, like 2 trains in Mexico at the moment. They are like under construction, but I don't come from a country where, you know, transportation with train is like a thing. So the fact that, you know, in Finland there's this kind of like train roads that really like can connect from like the very north from Finland until the very south of Finland, and you can like literally just jump in the train and get from place A to place B. It's beautiful. I love traveling by train in Finland. And another thing that I love is that transportation is easy. And this may really come as a no-brainer, but you know, Finland is very specific with its transportation system, like locally and among regions. There's a specific stops, there's a specific amount of buses, there's a specific stops, and that's it, and specific times. So you can check everything online, and it's everything's like really specific. Like you don't even have to think or ask or wonder about. It's like there are certain places where the transportation goes, and there are certain places where the transportation does not go. And if you need to reach a place where the transportation does not go, you probably have to rent your own car or do something like that, because it's very simple. It's like we have these means of transportation: airplane, train, local bus, regional bus. And if none of these goes to the place where you want to go, that means we just don't have transportation there. So you have to do it differently. And I think that, like, I mean, I love it because it just makes it so much easier that you don't have to think a lot of, you know, there's this, but there's that, but there's also that. And another thing that I love, it's like the size of the country, because I personally feel that it has been easier for me to kind of like keep track of what's going on in the different parts of the country, because it's not as big. So there's like, for example, there's these specific summer concerts, or there's this kind of like big business festival events that happen in different cities across the country. And being Finland of the size it is, I really feel that I can keep track of a lot of the bigger events that are going like along the country. Whereas, for example, if I would think about Mexico, like that would just be impossible. Like Mexico, it's that big. It's not like huge, but it's like so much bigger that like I wouldn't even like try or attempt to know what's going on in the whole country, because my brain would basically like explode. I don't know, like I know what's going like in the nearby regions, but what's happening like in the south of Mexico in terms of like events, or like, yeah, you know, like major events, like maybe that people can participate, like business events or like concerts or something like that. And if I try to keep up that, like, you know, in the south or in the north, like there's just so many things happening, I can't keep track of it. It's like many worlds. And here it's like, yes, there's differences, but it's still small enough that I can somehow attempt to keep track of what's going on in different cities and different regions. But I'm gonna stop right here. I'm actually not sure like in which number I am, but this is already like a very long video. So I'm just gonna continue in a different video. And if you do want to continue hearing about the different many 100 things that I love about Finland, then I invite you to continue in the volume 2 that I'm gonna add just after this video. And I'm probably gonna just publish both of the videos, if not at the same time, then one after another. So if you are enjoying seeing these 100 things that I love about Finland, I invite you to keep watching. So let's continue in the next video. See you there!